Glad to hear that, Tammy. Glad everything went okay for Ham Days down in Marion County. Again, one of my favorite festivals down there. All right, good morning, guys. It is Monday, and yes, we are back to Storm Talk once again. It's been a while, long time. In fact, I need to look it up and see when it was. It's been a while since we've even had some rainfall, more than 2 weeks into wave country, but things will be a little different this week. It's still about the same kind of blocky type of pattern, which I'll explain, but looking ahead, you may be thinking, okay, wait a minute, does this mean that the cool weather is off the charts? No, it's not. It will be here, but there will likely be some timing changes. I'll explain on that coming up here in just a second. Hopefully you had a good weekend. It was a good weather weekend, nice cool mornings, a lot of events. You guys know today is just one of those days like, just need a day of rest, right? But we don't have too long to chill out because we got this low pressure that's going to be evolving over the Ohio Valley the next 2 to 3 days. It will help give us some showers and some thunderstorms. We need it. I finally, by the way, had a chance to get my Halloween decor up. It was not easy because you have to put those, stakes into the ground, and it's basically concrete right now. So I broke like 3 stakes. And even with the backup spare, that didn't work. So I have to get more stakes. But anyway, the ground is like concrete. So we need some rainfall. Hopefully we will see some improvements on that coming up here in just a few moments. All right, let me kind of explain how we're going to get through this. We'll start with the tropics, just a real quick update because this will come back into the topic here in just a second. 3 areas right now that are being watched. Obviously, we have Tropical Storm Philippe. By the way, here's the leftovers of Ophelia up there in the Northern Atlantic. We have Philippe, that likely will become a hurricane, but staying out in the Atlantic. Another wave right on its heels, way out there. It's a reason for the big red shade you see. And then we have one wave here into the Gulf of Mexico, where you don't want anything to show up. If you're in Florida, the Gulf states is in the Gulf right now because it's ready to go. But that likely will be a factor for the next 10 days. We may have something to watch. And sometimes that can work its way here and can be a game changer, especially on a drought scenario. So more on that again coming up in just a few minutes. On the tropics, at least we'll give you an idea that that's one of the areas we'll come back around to. All right, right now we've had a lot of clouds this morning, but we're seeing more and more of that blue sky overhead. It's going to be a really warm day today. We should get well into the 80s as the clouds are thinning out. We've had an active radar in the past 24 hours, but nothing there. It's just raindrops have been falling out of the clouds, but they're not making it to the ground because it is so dry outside. You may have seen 1 or 2 hit your car. It's possible in the windshield. I wouldn't be surprised. But unfortunately, this is a setup where the radar is going to look a lot worse than the reality will be. And that may be the case, certainly for the beginning round of rain coming our way this week. We may have to fight that dry air initially, but there is enough moisture getting thrown at us that I do think we'll be able to overcome that and get into a scenario of not just rain, but perhaps some gustier thunderstorms that may get back into the picture there. Here's a wider view. Now that Ophelia is gone, which again, that was a key factor on getting that tropical system out here of the northeast part of the country. It's in the process of happening. That then allows for this low into the plains to have a chance to settle in a little closer to home over the next 2 to 3 days. It doesn't have much of a progression east. it just kind of drifts to the south, if you will, before it fades out as we head into the upcoming, say, Thursday, Friday window. But until that happens, we'll at least be in the rain and storm zone. And with it being more north of us, placement is key. If it's more south, we wouldn't get much heavier rain. If it's a little more northwest of us, as long as that's the case, anywhere on the southeast side of it, that's where you can get your showers and your thunderstorms and perhaps some somewhat decent rain totals. I don't know if this is going to be a drought-busting rain. Probably not. Right now, some of the numbers I'm seeing are about a half inch to maybe about 1 inch. That's possible. We need over 4 to get us completely out of a drought scenario, out of our deficit that we had, not to break even, but to get us beyond that, to pull out of a drought. Those numbers are coming in about 4 inches, especially in the central Kentucky area. So this is not going to be able to do that, but at least it'll be something that'll help, hopefully with the fall color too, and make it a little bit brighter because it's a key time for that. Your severe risk, not today, but tomorrow. We'll start as the low gets a little further to the south and east. It's going to be a Midwest type of setup. So Illinois, Missouri, St. Louis. Then as the low drifts, a little more south and east, a little closer to us now. Now we're getting the marginal risk right into the core here of wave country along I-71, Indiana, and central Kentucky, especially, or north central areas of Kentucky. This is for Wednesday. That's the main day we're watching, although there could be a chance that gusty thunderstorms may linger into Thursday. A little more, though, to the east, it looks like, if that's the case on Thursday. Because, again, the low is going to drift in and kind of just wander for a minute, kind of wobble around, and then fade out. Now, the wind fields are not going to be overly strong with that because of the wobbling effect. It's not a front moving in. It's literally just a circulation around the low. So that's the reason why we're not expecting anything significant on the severe side, which is good. Why is there severe risk at all? Mainly fuel. Humidity and warmth will play into this to allow for some gusty thunderstorms. So let me show you at least one model's idea on this, and this isn't too far away from where I think things are going to go. We're good the rest of the day today. We're fine. If you have anything you need to take care of outside, you want to get up some of that decor, clean up, put up some leaves. If you have leaves already in your yard, I would do that today. You have tomorrow as well. Tomorrow's not going to be a bad day. Tomorrow, the only thing about the radar trends tomorrow, we will start to get a few downpours. We'll try to show up on the radar, especially across Indiana as we get into your Tuesday afternoon. They look relatively spotty, and these will be some of the first that will have to overcome the dry atmosphere first. So they do not have much of a bark to them right now for your Tuesday, but there could be a few blips in the radar. Then we get into Wednesday, and that's when the low settles in. Now we're getting into a little more in the storm zone. You can see some of the showers and storms. It's a little active early in the day. I don't know if it'll be that active right out of the gate. It's possible. Certainly, as you guys know, if you get rain in the morning that lingers longer than expected, that does play a role on easing any storm threat in the afternoon. Same applies to this, especially with this being all about instability-based type thunderstorms, not so much wind field based. So fuel is important here. So if there's not a lot of sun or heating going on here on Wednesday, we may not get much in the way of lightning or thunder, but we could get some showers, absolutely. But we'll see how it plays out for Wednesday morning, but there's a chance for some scattered showers and storms. Otherwise, it'll be Wednesday afternoon. You see this view right there that popped. Very close to Louisville and Frankfort into Cincinnati. So they're not widespread, but they are certainly on the radar. One or two of these can trigger severe thunderstorm warnings as we into Wednesday afternoon, mainly for hail and wind, as you'll see in a second. And then another chance again as we into Wednesday night. The wind belt, by the way, the low is centered like this. It's very elongated kind of low, by the way. It's in a perfect little circle. It's almost like an oval, if you will. The wind field is on the southern side of it, right in through here. The southern side pushing right into Cincinnati. That is where there's just enough wind energy that one or two clusters could maintain for a little more than an hour's time, and therefore can produce a couple of warnings. Your best fuel is going to be also located right in through here. Let me get rid of this. The fuel is going to be roughly right through central Kentucky and Cincinnati. The Euro is doing a good job picking this up, so the high-res models. So the marginal risk looks to be in a really good spot based on just where the fuel is overlapped on the maps there. That seems to all make sense. So it's going to be kind of a wavy period on time. It's not going to be a solid line coming through. We're going to say between 4 and 7, they're moving through. It's not really going to be that easy of a forecast. It's going to be a few possible in the morning, a few will pop in the afternoon, a few more into Wednesday evening. Times will vary depending on where you're at in the area because there's not one definitive line to develop there. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge. Just be aware that Wednesday, the rain chance will go up, and likely Thursday as well until the low fades away. Looking at the Colorado State learning module. I always love looking at this. We haven't showed this in a while. This breaks down the threats a little more. Tornado, wind, and hail are the threats. Ignore this box here. This is just SBC stuff. But you can see there's no tornado threat being listed. There is certainly a wind threat that shows up right across the Ohio River Valley. And when it comes to hail threat, there are a couple of pockets that are showing up around Louisville and Cincinnati, and also down around, say, Memphis and Jackson, Tennessee. So far, there's some support for a marginal risk there. But that's the brown shade color there, which indicates the lowest of the risk. So this is, again, not anything to be overly concerned about on the severe side, but certainly be aware there could be some lightning and thunder, 1 or 2 warnings. So if you unplug your weather radio, plug it back in, make sure it's ready to go this week in case we get some notifications on that. What happens after it moves by? Well, this is kind of the bummer for some of you, not for all of you, but this is the bumper for the weekend into next week. We get a strong ridge that will come into play. Oh, yes. What does that mean? Warm. Warm. Some of the modeling is trying to get us back up to 90 again. I'm not going to go that far yet. Not that far yet. But, yeah, 90 is reachable. I will say that it is reachable, especially if we don't get a lot of rain this week. This is what we call a little more of an almost a mega block, but a little bit what we'll call a Rex block, where you get a strong low pressure here across the Rockies, and you get a big ridge out of ahead of it, almost like an eyeball raising its eyebrow kind of thing. So we're in the eyebrow section. We don't want to be in the eyebrow section. We're in the eyebrow section, though, and that's going to lead to warm weather for the weekend into next week. But notice while this is happening, does anything stand out to you while looking at this? Yeah, you can see the rain and snow in the Rockies. You see the warmth of the eastern part of the country. There should be something else that stands out on this map. Do you see it? Because this is where I think we are looking at a little more of an issue, and the long range is going to complicate the forecast. The feature that is showing up is right here. Remember what I said about the Gulf of Mexico remaining a little active and unsettled? You get a strong high that sits over the Gulf. That's what we've got. Then you have got a good environment for something to try to form in the Gulf. Now, where would it go? Would it just stay there? Would it linger? Would it move toward Kentucky? I don't know. I don't have that answer. I wish I did, but I don't. You could see that by the time we get into about October 5th, it's trying to get a little more organized. This water is very, very warm. So longer it's there, it's not a good thing. It can take advantage of that. Now the trough back here to the west. What will happen with this? Because this is a blocking pattern. So what we're going to do, yes, Chris, last week we talked about the colder burst, the first week of October. The first 2 weeks of October, the first 10 days is what I've been looking at for, I believe the 7th to the 12th or 7th to the 10th, something like that's what I picked out, is when the first little shot of cooler weather will try to arrive. It probably will be the latter end of that scale. Because this is a blocking pattern. This is going to take some time to get this to the south and east. It should, though, move south and east. It's just going to be a little slow to do that. So we should get through this weekend with warm weather. We will likely get through the weekend of October 5th and 6th. That window will likely stay warm as well. Just after that, that's when things will start to evolve and change. I'm still seeing support for that. As October evolves, things will get a little more, it's going to be a quick flip too. It looks like it's going to be like a switch going off on getting back into a fall setup, but I just don't know the exact dates yet, but I do see it still on the table, which is good. If you're a fan of fall weather, this is not a pattern. It's going to be getting you in the fall spirit. It's going to make you think, oh no, but please just cool off. Will we get chilly air? Will it rain? Blah, blah, blah. This is a pattern that's going to be more of a summer setup for us, guys. But eventually this will break free. Once it does, that's when we'll see the fall weather arrive. But right now, the block is in place, and there's good support for that. And then we'll see what happens. If this tropical system can develop and work its way a little more north, if we need a front to help do that, then that could be a big game changer in the October forecast, especially mid-October for rainfall. And we'll see how that works out. But that's where we stand, guys. Let me give you the overall recap, if you will, of the numbers. Yeah, you see the rain chance. That's good. Hey, that's good. We got rain. We'll take it. It's during the week, too. It's during the week, all right? It's not going to bother anybody. The weekend, a lot of folks will be out and about, and there we go. There's the bubble of warm air, mid-80s, the weekend and beyond. All right, so if you're heading to Huber's, try to pick out your pumpkins in the next couple of weekends. It's going to be busy out there, but it's going to be hard to be out there thinking about pumpkins and fall weather when you're going to be out there in shorts and flip-flops, because that's the way it's looking for the next couple of weeks there. Just remember, don't carve the pumpkin too soon, or you will end up with an even scarier face than you can imagine by the time you get into your Halloween night for the jack-o'-lantern. All right, guys. Austin, SAR report, the El Nino expected to be in our region will be dry winter. It can be, and typically it does mean dry weather. El Nino does for the Ohio River Valley. I'm going to go into more detail on that coming up on Halloween night with the winter forecast. There's going to be some very stark differences, though, across, I would say, from Indiana, Kentucky down into the Florida Panhandle. Very stark differences on impacts that I'm seeing for the winter. I'll explain more about that Halloween night. But to answer your question for now, Austin, yes, typically it means drier. El Nino also typically means a very quiet hurricane season. That has not happened, as you guys are fully aware. So it doesn't always mean what it has historically. So that's what the challenge is going to be. So I'm getting ready. All right, Tim, yes, thunderstorms, be on guard. You got a marginal risk. I know it's not the big storms you're liking to keep an eye on, but you do have something to track this week. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. Stay tuned. I'll have more on this coming up on midday at 11 a.m. And, of course, the next couple of days we'll kind of evolve through the block setup and see how things will trend with this rain chance and thunderstorms for the middle of the week. Get in there, guys.